In this video, we're going to kind of give you an idea of how to build a force in Team Yankee, and it's going to require one of these cards. This is all that's out right now for the game. Of course, these are the Soviets, and you have a choice of 3, and the USA right now has a choice of 2. And basically, this one's kind of a special thing. I'm going to get rid of this one right now because these two is what comes with the starter kits.
Yeah.
And it's going to be much easier to explain it this way. And they're very similar. They'll have different equipment, but very similar how you build. And we'll build up the Soviet a little bit. So it's basically, do you want to run more tanks or run more men with these vehicles? And same thing here. Do you want more tanks or do you want more men with vehicles? So it's going to tell you to go to like the HQ card. So again, it's telling you to go to that T101, which is, what's the thing focus in? So there's that. So that's, and it says up here too also HQ. This is the mech one, and the USA has a mech one too. And the card number down here corresponds with that. And the other one would be the tank with the HQ. So what we're going to do is we're going to build, or what you can do with like this one. So let's say we want to play a Soviet army, 100 points. Now we're not going to add up the points as we do. Can I explain how you do this? So I need this because on the other side it's going to tell me what I could get here, because if you look at the mech one, it's pretty much got the same thing, except for this one, 2 to 3 of those men units, which we'll get into, where this has 2 to 3 of the tank units, or companies, where you only get 1 at the most of the men, not 1 man, but 1 unit, and we'll get more into that, where this one, you're going to basically get less tanks.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go, we want more tanks. More tanks better. All right, so we decide we want to go tanks. It says 0 to 3. Well, first we have to go to this and say, okay, how many can we get? Well, we can buy 1 T-72 as our HQ, and that's 5 points. Where it's kind of interesting because if you go to US, you can get 2 in your HQ unit, but it costs 16. Yeah. So it depends upon what you play, what's going to be available. So you have to buy your HQ. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You have to buy it. Almost all the rest of this is optional. So it says here you have to have 1 of the TS101 card. So there's 5 points gone. So I have 95 points left over. This 2 to 3 does not mean I get 2 or 3 tanks. Now, go to the card. It's TS102. So if we look here, TS102, there's my tanks. And again, it's not saying, do you want 2 or 3 tanks in that unit? It's saying
you have 2 or 3 of those cards.
2 or 3 of these. So, do I want, for my first unit, I can go 3. That'd be 12 points. Or 4, 17. You can see how the points. And when I'm done with that, I have to buy another set of tanks. And it doesn't have to be the same number. I can go 3 for the first unit and 4 for the second.
Or 3 and 10.
Yep. As long as you got the points. Just remember, you only have 100 points. And then also, it says 3. I have the option. I have to take 2 of these. Not 2 tanks. Do I want 3 and then another unit of 4? Or 4 and 4? Or 3 and, like he said, 3 and 10?
Yeah.
So one unit has 3 and the other one has 10. Or I could take 3. So I can have a 3, 3, 3, 3, 4, 10. However it works out. So that's how you read that number. So if we go further down, I can take 0 of this or 1 of these. And again, it's going to tell you the number down here in the corner. So do I want to buy any men? Well, this is telling me I have the option of, no, I don't want any men, or I only get 1, and what's my one choice? Do I want this one for 8 points, or this one for 18, or this one for 24? one choice. If I went with this one, well, look here. It says 2 to 3. So these two have flipped. So it says 2 to 3. So I have to buy at least 2 units. So do I want 1 unit of this and another unit? Or like we did with tanks, I'll take 1 unit of this and 1 unit of this big one. But you also have the option of going up to 3.
Yeah.
But when you get to tanks, if you go with the mech, well, look at this. You have 0 to 1. So it's basically saying, do you not want any tanks, or do you just want 1 unit that can have 3 tanks, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10, and that's it. You get no more. All right, and then you can see 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. So you have an option, I don't want this, or I can only get 1 unit of it. And again, let's say here, was that TS-108? So we get our Carnation. This is our artillery. Check the number, TS-108. So it says I can get 0 to 1 of these. And again, this doesn't mean 1 Carnation. It means I could buy 1 unit. Which one of these do I want? Do I want 3 Carnations or 6 Carnations in that unit? And then I have to spend the appropriate amount of points. And normally a game's 100 points right now. And then this is scout platoons, 0 to 1 AA guns, and 0 to 1 gophers.
And all that is your part of your formation.
Yes, and this is very important to stay in the game. What's on this card? This is support. It's nice to get this stuff, but if you lose too many of these units, you're probably going to lose the game.
Yeah.
Because you have to do a morale check. If you have a lot of these units, you're going to be more survivable.
Yeah.
Okay, so now not only do you have this choice, which Arthur just talked about, like this is important, you also have these choices of your 100 points. So again, both these get to choose out of this. So it isn't a special card that they get a different kind of support unit and they get a different support. Both of these get to choose this. So do you want another Carnation battery? You can go, no, I don't want one. Or you can again choose 1. So do you want 3 Carnations or 6? And they're not going to be combined into 1 unit with if you purchase that one. They're 2 separate. They're mutually exclusive. And you can see here you can get some rocket launchers that's on the back of a pickup, an observation post. And what I want to talk about that is this. And the only way you can get this, it's an independent tank team. The only way you can get this is if you take like your Carnations, and it says right here, you must field either the Carnation or that Hell rocket battery to be able to take this. So if you don't have the Carnations or that Hell rocket, you can't even look at taking this. So there are going to be some restrictions. And then there's some recon platoon, 0 to 1 Hind helicopters, and then jet aircraft. And again, this does not mean 1 Hind. You're going to go to its card, which is like the TS-114. TS-114. How many helicopters do you want in that 1 unit? You're not getting 2 units like with the Carnations here. You get choice. Do you want 2, 4, or 6 Hinds in that 1 unit? And so basically that's how you read these cards and figure out, do you want to take how many jets do you want? Maybe you want some BMPs or transports. Do you want to take more tanks? Or do you want to take more men? How much anti-aircraft do you want to take in the game? Do you want any artillery? Oh, I forgot. And how many helicopters do you want? And of course, the U.S. has their own. So you can see here your HQ. Do you want 1 or 2 tanks in your HQ unit? Then do you want 2 or 3? So do you want 2 or 3 of these? Now, not 2 tanks, but do you want... so here, 2. For the first unit, do you want 2, 3, or 4 tanks in that? For the second unit, do you want 2, 3, or 4? And then you have an option for a third unit of 2, 3, or 4 tanks. And again, they don't have to be equal. One could be 2, one could be 3, and another unit could be 4 tanks. Do you want to take some men? There's your option. You don't have to. Or you get only one choice of men. Same thing with this mortar platoon and anti-tank platoon. And then when you get to the USA card, doesn't matter if you ran mech or armored, they both have these options just like the Soviets had here. So that's basically how you build up your force. So if I take my HQ, that's 5. And then I decide I want to run 4. That's 17 points. That's 22 points I spent. You know, I want to do that again. That's another 17 points. And so forth. And you keep adding up. Oh, and you know what? I want to take some carnations and I want the bigger unit. That's 10 points. So you keep adding up points. You just can't go over 100. And you have to stay within the limits of what your force is allowing.
Yeah. No, there's one thing I will want to point out. Going to the...
This one?
Yeah, that card. Technically, that is one force. Though at 100 points, though, you usually can only afford to take one or the other.
Right.
But you can take one of each.
Yeah, that has its own problems in itself. Yeah, you could.
But it tells you on the card how many of each you can take. 0 to 3, 0 to 3.
Yeah, up here.
So, after you play the game for a while, and usually if you're just starting, you want to stick with just one or the other. But after you play for a while, you can understand how it works. You can start messing with that. Or if you play with bigger games, then you could probably have to force to take more.
Yeah, but it's also easier for you lose morale because the units start getting like because you only get. I don't want to go too much in depth into it, but let's say I spent 50 points on this one, 50 points on this one. If I start losing a lot out of this unit, I may have to start taking a company morale check.
Yeah.
Compared to if I did 100 points in this, I wouldn't be as close to having to do that company morale check. And if you fail a company morale check, that unit's out of the game. Yeah. I think you actually, in normal one, you'd lose the game. I'm not sure about if you're running 2 different units.
If you run in 2 different formations, you lose that formation.
Yeah.
The other formation stays.
Gone.
So it comes with plus and minuses. But I thought you should keep in mind that technically everything on that card is one unit or one force.
Yeah. That force or that one.
Yeah.
And these are the supports.
Or formation.
Yeah.
The card is force. Each one of those options is a formation.
Yep.
Trying to keep the terminology correct.
All right. Until next time, have a good game.